everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amanda. Today I'm going to be sharing the story with you about the first time I had a guest yell at me, and I probably should have called security on them. My coworker was this close, I was this close. It was a whole bad situation. Let's get into it. Alright, so to preface the story, I think you have to understand that I work in a photography studio. I work the photography side and the sales side of things, and this particular day was just really busy. We had back-to-back appointments, and this lady called and she wanted to know if we had a same-day appointment for a certain time. And I was not the one who spoke with her, but I overheard the person who was speaking to her, and she said that we don't have any availability at that time, but we could get you in. It was like an hour or two past that time. And she said, no, that's not going to work. I really need this time. And my manager, who happened to be the one talking with her, said you can try to come in at that time, but we can't guarantee that we'll get you in. Later is better. And I don't know what transpired through the rest of the conversation because I went and took the next session into the camera room. Long story short, this lady shows up and she's checking in. And she tells us that she has this appointment time for this certain time, and we were like, well, we don't see that you have an appointment. Were you the person who maybe called earlier? And she's like, yeah, that was me. And I was like, okay, remember we told you that it says right here that we told you that the best time would be this time. You are a little bit early for that. And she was just like, that's not acceptable. I'm on my lunch break. And we were like, okay, well, we're really sorry. We understand that, but we have to take the appointment times that previously had an appointment before we take you in. And she was not having it. She sat down, she was grumpy, and I was like, we'll get to you as soon as possible, I promise. Like, we're not gonna intentionally make you wait, but we already had appointments during that time. And she goes and she sits down, and for whatever reason it ended up just being me and one other person working. I feel like my manager had to leave for some reason. I can't remember, but it was just me and one other person, so it was just two of us. And when that happens, one of us will usually just go into the camera room and pound out the sessions, and the other one of us will man the front, checking people in, answering the phones, helping guests check out and view their photos, and things like that. So that's what we were doing. My coworker was in the camera room trying to pound out sessions. I was in the front. I had like two phones on at all times. I had like 3 guests who were up trying to just check out and choose their photos. I had people who were continually trying to check in, and this lady literally every 60 seconds was like, are you ready for me now? Can we get in now? And I was like, no ma'am, I'm sorry. Like, they have their session. We have one more person in front of you. You'll get in after them. And she's throwing a fit. She's yelling at everything. She's making a scene is what she's doing. And my coworker gets done with the session she was working on, and she gets the next one in, and then she comes up, she's like, is it my turn now? You said I was next. And I said, yes ma'am, I said you were the next one after the person who was waiting. And she's like, that's not acceptable. You said that I was. She starts screaming at me. And I'm trying to be really professional. I'm trying to be really polite. I'm trying to just be like, I'm really sorry that you misunderstood. But what I said was that there's one more person in front of you. You are the next one after that. She wasn't having it. She's screaming. She's yelling. She's making everybody uncomfortable is what she's doing. And I'm trying to just be like, you know what? Like, as soon as she's done with the session, it's an older... I mean, not older people, but like, it's not like a 1-year-old where it takes a lot of extra time and patience. It's an older kid who can listen and follow directions. So it's like, it shouldn't be that long. Like, the kid's older. She should just be able to get him in and out. And she's rolling her eyes at me. She's off over in the waiting room. She's yelling about stuff. I'm trying to take care of guests over here. I hear yelling over here. And at some point, a guest comes up to me, and I was like, hi, can I help you? I mean, we're trying to run along. I know they had already checked in, so I wasn't trying to be like, hey, do you need to check in or anything? But I remember seeing them, and I was like, can I help you? Do you have any questions? And she was like, well, I was just wondering how long it is until we're going to get in, because there's a lady over in the waiting area who's driving everybody crazy. We don't want to listen to her. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, she's just a little bit in a bad mood, and she's the next one in. We'll get her in, we'll get her out, and then nobody has to listen to her. And she was like, okay. This lady keeps coming in because my coworker was taking forever in the session because she was talking. She was making conversation with this family, and this lady who was angry was not having that. And she kept coming in. You said it's going to be really quick. You said she was going to get them in and out. And I was like, I'm sorry, I can't rush her session. I'm doing my job up here. She's doing her job in there. And in my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, can you just finish your session so that you can take this lady so that she can yell at you for a little while and stop yelling at me? Yeah, that didn't happen because my coworker came out and she said, hey, your turn. You take the next session. And I was like, fine. I was really hoping to get rid of this lady, but fine. And so I was like, okay. I told her the rundown of what I was dealing with up front, which each person was trying to do. And in the middle of my explaining, so I could transfer jobs a little bit, this lady comes up to me. She's like, there's a whole camera room open, and neither one of you are in it. You guys are both up here just talking to each other, and I want to talk to your manager, and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, well, ma'am, I'm grabbing your clipboard, and I'm going to get you in. I was just explaining to her what needed to be done up here since we're switching now. And she rolls her eyes at me. She's like, whatever, just get me into the camera room. I was like, oh my gosh. So I get her into the camera room. The first two kids, there's 3 kids, they were cousins. The 2 sisters were, like, they were twins, but then they had a little cousin with them. So we're doing sibling pictures, cousin pictures, little boy by himself. And the 2 little girls were fine. They were perfect. It took me like 5 minutes to get their photos in. The little boy wasn't having it. He was yelling, he was screaming, he was throwing the props, he was throwing himself on the floor, and after about 20 minutes, I said, you know what? We can't do this. If he's going to throw the props, we need to be done. We're done with your session. And she flat out looked at me and she was like, no, you made me wait, so you will finish the session. I was like, he's not going to do it. Like, he's mad, he's angry, he's throwing the props. If he's going to start breaking our stuff, we actually are not even allowed to continue the session. We have to cut it off right there. So I tried again. I tried for another like 10 minutes. He wasn't having it. She finally gave him her phone, which I don't know why people think that that's a good idea. People are like, oh, the phone's going to make him stop crying. The phone's going to make him smile. It's going to make him happy. And then they get angry that the phone is in the picture, which is exactly what this lady did. I kid you not, she handed the little boy her phone. And so he's sitting there playing on the phone, and she's like, just take it and don't get the phone in the picture. And I'm like, he's holding it in front of his face. Like, of course it's going to show in the picture. And she's like, no, you're the professional. Just take it out of the picture. And I was like, well, then I'm going to need you to take the phone away from him. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm not like magic. But she finally takes the phone away. He screams. I get like 2 more pictures. And I'm like, okay, you know what? We're done. We're done. He's not having it. If you don't want the phone in the picture while he's happy, then we just need to be done. And she finally just agreed. She was like, my lunch break has been over like an hour ago. And I was like, I'm sorry. We told you we weren't going to be able to get you in at that specific time. Like, you were warned. But anyway, she was finally okay with being done with the session. I said, hey, how about you go ahead and have a seat over in our waiting area, and I'll get your photos uploaded and I'll meet you up front. She refused to leave the room. She stayed there. She watched me upload, and I said, ma'am, I need you to go into the waiting room, and I will meet you up front. And she said, no, I'm staying right here and making sure you don't delete any of my pictures. Okay, I'm not going to delete your pictures unless your child is has his eyes closed. That's why I took doubles of some of them, because I think he blinked. I will delete those ones. I'm not going to sit here and just delete all the photos that I took. And so I was like, fine. So I uploaded them, I closed out the screen, I was like, I'll just go create your file in another room. I went to the other room to create her file. She followed me to watch. Okay, so at that point, I just did my bare minimum of what I was required to do. I said, okay, let's go to the front. You can choose your photos. She's looking at them, and then she's like, oh, I guess they're fine. I guess they're fine. I guess they're fine. And I was like, okay? I went over all of our packages. I went through my whole sales process with her that I'm supposed to do. And she was like, well, we usually just do the digital album. I said, okay, great. We do have these 2 options for digital album. One of them is just the digital. The other one comes with all this other stuff. Which one suits your needs a little bit more? She's like, just the digital album. Okay. One more question. Do you want the digital album that's the base pictures, or do you want the digital album that's all the enhancements as well? Just the base album. Okay. So I'm going through and I'm just clicking the boxes. I'm like, okay, you want the base album. I'm going to make sure that everything's correct on your file. And then she and her sister-in-law, mother-in-law, they're talking over here. And she's like, okay, wait. We're going to actually want the one with all the enhancements. And I was like, okay, great. And I start clicking the boxes to add all of the enhancements and stuff because that's just what she said she wanted. And she was like, well, can you just make them more beautiful? Because the person who normally does our photos makes them really pretty and you didn't make them beautiful. Okay. So I start doing more enhancements. I start doing extra collages, which I'm not really even, I'm not even required to do that. So I'm being kind to her by making extras. I mean, nobody gets all the extras anyway. They get what we make for them. And I'm making them, and I was like, okay, is that good? Like, I stopped, and I was like, okay, do those look nice for you? And she, like, glares at me, and she turns, and she glares at the lady who's with her. I don't know who she is. And she was like, we're waiting for you. You're waiting for me to do what? I just created more. I asked if they were okay for you. And she's just like, we're waiting on you. And I was like, I'm not sure what you're waiting on me for. I asked if these were okay, if there's anything else that you wanted. She's like, we want more. So I start making just a couple more. I'm like, okay, I'm going to make like 3 more and I'm going to be done. And she's just going to get what she gets. And she can throw a fit. I don't really care at this point. And I'm making a few more. And she starts screaming. Again. For no reason. Telling me what a horrible photographer I am. Telling me that I don't know what I'm doing. I don't take beautiful photos. Telling me that I'm what'd she say? Incompetent to work here. I don't know how to run the system. I don't know what the standard and the policy is. I have horrible customer service and blah, blah, blah. I finished creating the one that I was working on. I only made 1 extra at this point. Finished creating it. I closed out her order and I said, I'll meet you at the register. She goes, no, you're not done. And I said, oh, yes, I am. We're done here. I'll meet you at the register. So I walk over to the register. I ring her up. I say, this is your total. She says, that's outrageous. And I said, this is your total. She swipes her card. I give her her receipt. She leaves. And every single customer who has been waiting and listening to her yell breathes a sigh of relief. One customer comes up and she was like, you know what? I don't even care if I get taken in right at my appointment time. Thank you for getting rid of her. Yeah. And at this point, my coworker hadn't even finished creating the file she was working on when she first came out of the camera room and I had to take that lady in. And I was like, what are you even doing? Like, you've been out here forever. And she was like, I'm just trying to make these ones really pretty. And I was like, girl, get back in the camera room. That was the first time that somebody ever yelled at me. I was this close to calling security because more than one other customer had come up to me to tell me how uncomfortable they were. My coworker was this close to calling security because the situation was really just awful. So if you enjoyed that story, if you thought it was funny in any way, please give this video a thumbs up. Please consider hitting that subscribe button down below so that you don't miss out on any more of my videos. And please leave me a comment of some of your favorite customer service experiences. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!